Hello, you are watching Over the Back Fence, a conversation with neighbors. This is a production of Neighborhood Falmouth, and today our conversationalists include Jackie Pratt, Mary Pat McKenzie, Marion Bihari, and I'm Susan Laux. Today our conversation is going to be about alternative medicine. Have you tried it? What do you like? Is it nutty? Are you wacky? What are your feelings? What different things have you tried or people you know have tried? So who's going to go first? Jackie, how about you?
Sure, I'd be willing to talk about it. So, I'm one of those people who's got their toe in alternate medicine. A little leery, but I've certainly seen it work in my family. My daughter's a critical care trauma nurse, and she's certainly into traditional medicine, but she also utilizes alternate medicine too. And one of the things that when her knees began to bother her, she had a back injury from an automobile accident when she was in college, and so she would exercise, but her knees started. Go to the gym, ran marathons, ran mutter futters, you know, the ones with the obstacle course, and but her knees started to bother her. And with my history with joints, she decided she wasn't going to play games, so she started she took up yoga, became a yoga instructor, because being a critical care trauma nurse and raising a child is not enough. Being a mom and a nurse is not enough. We're going to be and she actually teaches a course once a week, but she swears by yoga, and it's really helped her also with anxiety and handling stress. And in her profession, I think that's really important. To the point where they sent me a video of my 2-year-old granddaughter next to the bed with the brand new baby, who was howling, and she had her hands up over her head, and she was doing the yoga deep breathing, and apparently was trying to teach the baby not to howl.
That's great.
That's sweet. Oh my goodness.
It did not work, but
No.
she does it all the time. They'll ask her to do your yoga breathing, and they'll go, "Oh, it makes us so happy that you do that." Mm-hmm. And she loves doing it for people. But I've watched her. She was diagnosed with hypertension at 18, the first adult medical appointment, and she keeps it managed with exercise and keeps her weight down and diet. She's really big on diet, and like I said, I've seen it work, and and I've got to admit that I was somebody who had chronic UTIs for a while, and she got me started on drinking lots of fluids, especially cranberry juice, and taking cranberry tabs, which changes the pH, I guess, in your body. So, and I have to admit it worked so far, and it's been years. So I can't say that I'm against all alternate medicines. I guess I worry a lot about the sort of that line between anti-vaxxers and alternate medicine. That at some point, some people seem to lose common sense.
Yeah, well, I don't think the non-vaxxers have much to do with alternate medicine.
Well, I'm thinking about the sort of the mindset that at some point, you start
to just disbelieve traditional medicine, and so you choose alternates to that.
Yeah, I did, and I know that lots of people do alternate medicine and don't go off the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, my sense is that, at least for me, I love alternative medicine, but I don't, I'm not involved in it to the exclusion of traditional medicine. It's really in addition to, I'm a huge fan.
They should go like that together.
Yeah. I really, really love acupuncture. And I think acupuncture or acupressure, I think they're kind of amazing. Subtle though. And honestly, I haven't been, the certain problems that have brought me onto an acupuncture table have not always been resolved by being there. Like,
Right.
I went, can you do something about my hearing? My hearing was unchanged by acupuncture, um, but the idea of like lying on a table with having somebody do body work on you, it's just like heaven. And massage, and they did these cupping things, which was definitely, and they sometimes burn these things that smell kind of like pot.
Yes.
And so that whole thing was kind of, it esoteric, I would say. But and I've tried hypnosis. I did a long, long time ago. I don't, what? I'm not really sure what's worked, to be honest with you, now that I'm kind of cataloging it, but I still love it anyways. And I don't, and I don't ever throw so much money at something that I feel like,
Right.
I'm like being taken to the cleaners. I mean, I'm already at the cleaners. So, I'm like, whatever. So anyway, that's me. How about Marion?
Well, I'd like to continue with acupuncture because I went for acupuncture twice a week for a year and a half to someone who here was in Falmouth, who was wonderful, who passed away. And she taught me a lot about it. She also said something like you did, that I was having terrible problems with both ankles with arthritis. And she said to me, after 6 sessions, if it's not going to help, it's not going to help. And she gave a time limit. But I found, and so we tried it on my ankles. It did not help my ankles, but it did help my sense of stress. And I also have asthma, so she did cupping in my back. And it really relieves stress. And, they put music on and things like that. So that was very helpful. After she passed away, I went to someone else who used a different form of acupuncture, and I didn't care for it as much as the first one. I've gone for massages, things like that. But I do think that acupuncture really has its place with regular medicine. And I've done other things for headaches and whatever, but you have to also, one of the things I do know is that you have to believe it's going to work.
Yeah.
Because if you go in with a negative attitude, you're going to come out with a negative attitude. So I'm very much for acupuncture. And one other thing, before I lived in New York before coming here, worked at a medical practice, and we had a physician who did acupuncture with 20 people. There was a big room, and they sat in a circle, and they all had acupuncture at the same time. So it became sort of like a something to do, an activity. Excuse me. Hold on. Anyway, that's mine. I'm going to go on mute.
How about you, Mary Pat?
I love acupuncture. I have had it for bursitis in my shoulder, 3 sessions. Unlike Marion, I don't want music and candles. So it's like go in, jab me, and out. I also had really bad trigger finger in this finger a few years ago. And I went to a hand surgeon in New Jersey, and he said, not a lot of my patients will try it, but you want to try acupuncture to fix that. And I said, sure, I'd rather that than you going in, cutting it open for some reason. And with 4 sessions, my finger was completely healed, and I have never had a problem since.
Wow.
The other thing I'm a firm believer in is medicinal products from herbs.
Nice.
And it's interesting because both of my grandmothers believed in, home remedies have been around for a long time.
Oh, yes.
But they have a really solid history in certain cultures. and it's very solid. I have been mixing tinctures and doing stuff since I was about 22 or 23. And I had a friend in Falmouth who used to just call me the witch. She would just call and say, what do I need? And I would do it. So for instance, fennel seeds, and I have a fennel plant behind me here. Fennel is a great cure once you collect the seeds, which I do. I collect all my own herb seeds and stuff in the fall, is for eye infections. And my husband, who worked for years and years and years sitting in front of a computer screen, he would get eye infections a lot, as did my kids when they were in college. And I would just make up a tea, and I have, you just put the seeds in something like this, put it in the teapot, make it up, and then you use it as you dip a cotton ball and put it on your eye and soak it 3 times a day. It goes away.
Wow.
I have a lot of books on it, and I have tried a lot of things. Now, you have to be careful because a lot of herbal medicine is contraindicated by drugs. And the reason for that is a lot of it is the basis for pharmaceuticals. And because of that, you could be overdosing because you're putting something into your body if you're on a prescription medication. But if you aren't on a whole bunch of medications or nothing is contraindicated, and lots of times you can find that out fairly easily. I mean, I'm thinking there's a lot of medications that you can't eat grapefruit, for instance. So it's like, that you probably shouldn't be doing on a regular. I'm on heart medication now, and they told me to stop taking garlic pills. So it is, you have to be cautious, but you can certainly benefit from herbs. And we have for centuries. The Physic Garden, Chelsea Garden, Physic Garden, was founded in the early 1600s in London. And they still, when you go there, they have all kinds of recipes for tinctures and stuff. And you can go to workshops. It's cool.
What fun. What fun. So I'm just totally fascinated by this kind of stuff. And, and I know that there might be some people watching this or not. And obviously, like you said, you be careful about what you're doing.
Right.
But I'm just kind of fascinated, like, what is like one of the craziest things that you made, or one kind of surprising thing that you helped to solve, or the most recent thing that you did? I don't know.
I have a really funny story. One of my aunts was visiting from Nova Scotia. She doesn't happen to believe in any of this. And Donald had cut himself shaving. So she, for some reason, showed up at our house, and he had been bleeding when he cut himself. So I went out and cut yarrow, like the flower yarrow, the leaves, and put it on his face with a piece of Scotch tape because yarrow stops bleeding. And she came, he forgot he had leaves taped
on his face.
She was appalled. It was like, what is going on? I said, oh, I was fixing his cut. And hadn't, of course, probably couldn't find the Band-Aids or something. So it was just Scotch tape over the leaves. But it stopped the bleeding. However, she thought either he was crazy or I was crazy. Now, my father was a doctor, and he believed in herbal medicine because it is the source of pharmaceuticals. So, you just have to be careful. You can see behind me, I have a lot of books on herbal medicine, and just, mix it up. And I mean, if you don't mind looking like, but you do this in the privacy of your home. So you're not going to be sitting in an office with a fennel patch over your eye.
Right.
Or you're making it for the neighborhood or anything. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think herbal stuff is a lot of it is very mainstream. Chamomile tea is something, and we always had an elevator, especially living on Cape Cod, and and raising a daughter who was apt to stay out in the sun too long with very fair skin,
Yeah.
we always had aloe vera plants
Yes.
and also probably some that, that we got at the, at
Or you just keep it on the kitchen windowsill, you know?
well, sometimes we use the plant, but sometimes if it was a large area, we use the bottle from.
Oh yeah, the bottled stuff.
Yeah.
And hypnosis. I quit smoking with hypnosis, and I had smoked for over 30 years. And I didn't try acupuncture. I went straight to hypnosis, but it was totally successful.
Well, I, on the other hand, did hypnosis to try and lose weight. It didn't work. So,
go one way
I think
or the other.
I've always believed, and this is true too, you have to eat to live.
Yes.
You don't have to smoke to live. So once the addiction is gone,
True.
you don't have that problem.
Right.
But I really went a number of times, and I really had high hopes. And I think it lasted a little bit, but then it went out the window.
Yeah.
So
it is really hard. Eating, like you said, it's you can't
yes,
give up eating.
right. So the smoking's one thing, but it didn't work for me for the eating.
And I think it's fairly successful for people quitting smoking. And, that's kind of mind over matter is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, for me, it was so successful that about 3 or 4 months after I'd quit, I saw somebody in a car at an intersection smoking, and I couldn't even identify what it was. I'm looking at them thinking, what is that person doing? Because I didn't know anybody at that point who still smoked. And it was like a couple of minutes of pausing before I went, oh, they're smoking. But it was so far out of my brain by then. It really was.
That's impressive.
But the food thing.
Yeah.
Somebody told me when I was smoking when I was younger, and it wasn't suggestive, but he just said to me, "You're very weak, and I bet you can't stop smoking." And I was so angry.
Ticked off, didn't it?
I got so angry. I thought, I'm going to show you, Buster. And I was smoking 3 packs a day.
That's
and
a lot.
I got up in the middle of the night to smoke, and I started smoking when I was 13. So I was in my late 20s. Anyway, I was coughing, everything. And he said to me, "You're too weak." So that was suggestion. So it's the same kind of thing as alternative medicine.
Yes.
And I thought, you son of a, and I stopped smoking cold turkey.
Wow, Marion, that's crazy.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I stopped cold turkey too, but for a slightly different reason. My daughter was very young, and we walked to the local drugstore, and or wherever we were going to buy cigarettes for Mom, and I grabbed that, and she had spotted this little toy that they always have on the side, and it was a barrel of monkeys. Just it's a barrel with monkeys in it, and I guess it's a puzzle or something. But at any rate, I went to pay, and I realized I didn't have that much cash. This wasn't a place that took cards or whatever, and I thought, what am I doing? I'm gonna buy cigarettes and not buy a toy that the kid wants, and she very seldom asked for anything. I thought, what is going on here? So I went home without buying the cigarettes. There still were a couple at home because I didn't ever run out. And I finished up the pack and decided that was it. That was it. Luckily, I had a friend who was an addictions counselor, and she talked to me constantly. She would cut up celery and green pepper and carrots and chill them and bring it over, and so I could have something to walk around with. I mean, she was big on the positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Thrive with ice cream, that kind of thing. It was amazing, and but it's tough to quit smoking cold turkey.
Yeah, yeah. And I think because I had tapes, which didn't do me a lot of good, but they worked because I used to be paranoid about the dentist. So it was visualization tapes that you'd listen to, which is also, I mean, it's power of suggestion,
Correct.
alternative medicine. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it does work. I am surprised here in Canada, and the military does it. Most physical therapists, or probably half, also are acupuncturists. So I have a cousin who is an acupuncturist, and you know, I've had her stick me for things like my shoulder or whatever, and I asked when I had a broken ankle, I was doing PT at Falmouth Hospital, and I asked my physical therapist, I said, "Do you do acupuncture too for stuff like this?" And he said, "No, Massachusetts doesn't allow it."
Yeah.
It's very interesting. It's a separate thing. So they don't actually use acupuncture as an additional healing thing with physical therapy. It's unfortunate
Really?
because it's very successful. And in other places they do it. And he was ex-military. So he said certainly in the Army that he did both. As a therapist as well as a hypnotist. I'm not a hypnotist, a acupuncturist.
Awesome. Well, this was fun. This is interesting and lots more to talk about. So we'll come back another time and maybe we'll have part 2 of this. And in the meantime, thank you for joining us. You've been watching Over the Back Fence, a conversation with neighbors. And this is a production of Neighbors
Bye-bye.
Falmouth. Bye.